I know it's difficult to pull off trades before week one. We fall in love with our rosters. We drafted these guys believing in them, but this might be the time, this might be the opportunity to pull the trigger and try to get guys at a value. Let's take advantage of some of the bad vibes, some of the new news that's come out, the training camp news, the injuries and stuff like that. So in this video, we're going to cover some of the trades I think we should be going out there to make before week one. I'm Ron from Never Lucky. At the end of the video, we're going to cover 3 real trades from the Discord, from some of the community members. We chatted about these. We went back and forth. We had some disagreement. You guys can go head over to the Discord, join it, submit your trades, and I'll cover them live during the season. You can skip ahead in the timestamps if you want to go straight to those real life trades. But let's first talk about some of the trade targets, some of the guys that I really like. And we start this with Quinshon Judkins. I know this one is a little bit controversial. He's kind of down in the dumps at the moment. We recently had a report on Monday, thank the gods, that Quinshon Judkins could be back with the team as soon as this week. I know that's ambiguous. That could be this week, could be next week, could be in a month, could be in a year. We don't really know, but I think we're starting to hear the wheels churn. The wheels are turning. There's been more and more reports that he should be signing any day. Reports are that his agent is just like massaging out some of the details, some of the incentives and stuff like that. So I think there's no other issues. The NFL investigation should yield no suspension or anything like that because the charges were dropped, right? There were no actual charges on Judkins. And I guess the reason that I have him as a trade target is that his value is currently like the second lowest it will be all season, in my opinion. I mean, he was drafted in the early second round by the Browns. Samson was drafted as well 2 rounds later, and he's really just going to be the change of pace guy. That's kind of the role they foresaw in him. But Judkins was going to be a lead back, dude, a workhorse running back for them. That's why they drafted him in the second round. They wanted to replace Nick Chubb. They want a stud running back that they can rely on. And guys, we play fantasy football for the second half of the season, right? We want to win fantasy championships. If you can kind of Frankenstein your running back position and grab a guy like Quinshon, and if you're in a league where you can maybe even put him in IR if he's designated out, that helps you even more, right? Because then he doesn't clog up a roster spot. And if you think about it, man, I mean, we're drafting guys like Bashal Tootin, Caleb Johnson with the expectation that they're going to be better the second half of the season. Maybe they're off to a slow start, and then we're expecting them to kind of take over, right? So if we're high on Tootin, who is still going to be stuck behind Tank and ETN, right? If they don't trade ETN, we're huge on Caleb Johnson, who is the RB3 on the depth chart at the moment. Quinshon Judkins is one of these guys where he's going to the double-digit rounds, but when he returns, he's the lead guy. He's the starter. It's not going to be Jerome Ford. It's not going to be a committee. In my opinion, we had some disagreement in the Discord about Judkins, about his role when he comes back, but I really think he's going to be a lead back. And to be honest, man, he's one of the cheaper guys you can get right now, right? Like last season, for example, we were drafting Jonathan Brooks. Jonathan Brooks was on IR. He was set to miss at least 4 games, potentially 6, potentially 7. Yet we were still drafting him in the 8th, 7th, 9th round, right? So let's look at a couple of the trades that I've seen on fantasycalc.com with Quinshon Judkins. We're just going to talk about them one by one. Judkins for Nick Chubb straight up. That's an easy one. Nick Chubb is someone that we expect to be a little bit usable early season, but then just taper off. I think they're going to go to a committee or to Woody Marks, one of the young guys. For Jerome Ford straight up, again, similar type trade. You're trading 1 or 2 weeks of potentially a startable player for a guy like Judkins, who end of the season, second half of the season, is going to be way more valuable than a guy like Ford. And then we have a couple of these multiplayer trades that I really like looking at. We have Judkins and Lamar for Worthy and Swift. I like this side if you want a stud quarterback. I think stud quarterbacks win fantasy leagues at this point. We know which stud quarterbacks are the league winners. If you're getting Lamar Jackson, he's the best player in this deal. It's a little bit shitty that you're giving up Worthy, but Swift is someone that I imagine potentially being stuck in a committee. They really love Roschon Johnson. This Ben Johnson offense, he wants to have 2 running backs, usually in most of the places he's been. So I think Swift, he's going to be the main guy, but I do think Roschon or Monunga are going to have their work. And then you're getting Quinshon, man. You're getting a potential RB2 second half of the season. Judkins for Tillman and Spears. And this one, I went with the Tillman and Spears side because I'm really high on Tillman. I think he's going to be a bona fide wide receiver 3. He can be a top 40 guy potentially, depending on how much this Browns team throws. If it remains Joe Flacco starting for the Browns, I love Tillman. He's the X receiver. He's the deep guy. When Amari Cooper got traded last season, Tillman was great. He was a wide receiver 1 in fantasy. And then you're getting Tajay, throw him on your IR. He's going to be very good the second half of the season as well. So that one, I kind of lean toward the Tillman Spears side if you have an IR spot. Then we have Judkins and Lamb for Jamar Chase. I went with the Lamb side here. I know it's Chase, but I do have CeeDee Lamb as a close second to Chase this season. It's just going to be such a good offense there in Dallas. In terms of the passing offense, the run game is going to be butt cheeks, and then you're getting Judkins as a throw-in. I love those types of trades, man. You're kind of tearing down, but you're getting to throw in. And then Judkins for Shakir. This is essentially a horizontal one. Braylon Allen and Judkins for Ray Davis, Kareem Hunt. To me, in my opinion, both of these guys are better than Ray Davis and Kareem Hunt. So I'm taking that one. And then, looking down, we have Judkins, Love, and Dobbins for Hurts and Ferguson. If you really want to stud quarterback, you can do that, but you're giving up 2 potentially starting running backs. We got Judkins and Flowers for Chase Brown. I'm going Chase Brown side there. I'm just not really big on Flowers. Chase Brown's a bona fide, like maybe top 5 running back this season on one of the best offenses, highest scoring offense. So I lean toward Brown on that one. Judkins and Garrett Wilson for Jacoby Myers and Javonte Williams. That one is super easy. Even the trade calc score has the Judkins side winning. You're getting the best wide receiver in the deal, and I think you're getting the better running back as well. I just don't think Javonte Williams is going to have any value at the end of the season. Jadon Blue, my fucking boy, I made a video about him recently. I think he's just going to take over this backfield in most like high value moments, right? Pass catching moments when they're losing, high tempo offense. It's going to be Jadon Blue. So I hate Javonte Williams. And then for Rachaad White, I think in a full PPR, maybe you like Rachaad White a little. Maybe he gets traded. Maybe he ends up having some value. But I still think Judkins is probably the play there. I mean, again, man, if we're expecting him to be the workhorse, like Rachaad White's never going to be a workhorse on any team. Even if he gets traded, I don't imagine him being a 3-down back. Well, I really do think Judkins is going to be a 3-down back, man. I think they're just going to use him on all 3 downs. He's the most explosive. He's not dealing with an injury. He only has this legal problem. And now we move on, man. We move on to Rome Odunze, the next player that I think you guys should be targeting. His value is depressed. DJ Moore hit the showers. Rome wasn't built in a day, but it is currently his time to shine, man. Rome Odunze is going to be the wide receiver 1 for the Bears. I am staking my reputation on that claim. Ben Johnson was quoted saying that the ball tends to find the slot receiver in his system. We got Jarvis Landry, we got Danny Amendola, and Amon-Ra St. Brown recently with the Lions. So the slot role, he said it in the video where he was interviewed. He said, that's usually the focal point of our offense. Now, let's talk about who's going to be the slot for the Bears. He said in that same interview, we love the guys that we brought in to be the slot guy, the inside guy. We love Zacchaeus, and keep in mind, they did draft Luther Burden. Now, I made a video all about Luther Burden. Now, he's one of my favorite rookie picks, one of my favorite late-round picks to stash on your bench. Because of this reason, man, I think he's going to take over the slot role eventually. He just has to beat out Zacchaeus. It's not going to be DJ Moore. People are expecting it to be DJ Moore. They expect him to be the slot receiver. It's just not going to be the case, man. Rome Odunze is going to play out wide. Zacchaeus and Burden are going to fight for the slot, which is, very valuable in Ben Johnson's offense. That leaves DJ Moore as the odd man out. And they don't really know what to do with him, man. So recently there's a report that the Bears are experimenting with DJ Moore in the backfield. I saw a couple of training camp videos where he's been lined up at the RB position. They see him as like maybe a Deebo Samuel type role. Maybe, I don't really know what they have in store for him. And then in the preseason, we had Rome Odunze kind of dominating in the possession where all the starters were in. And it was really the Rome Odunze show. I'm going to show you guys 2 clips here. This first one was a nice little out route. Dude, that is a chunk play. That's an explosive play. That's like a 30-yard gain, makes a dude miss, almost gets to the end zone. And then on the very next play, they go right back to Rome in the end zone. Just a nice little tiny 3-yard curl, comes back, and he gets a touchdown. He had a 10-point drive with the starters. DJ Moore had 1 point. 1 fantasy point in this drive with the stars. Listen, I know it's only preseason, man. I know we can't expect the preseason to be super indicative, but I want to show you guys a couple of graphics here. This is from the Fantasy Footballers. They say, fun fact, if you're a top 10 NFL pick at wide receiver, you get over 100 targets as a rookie, you have a 75% chance of being a top 24 fantasy wide receiver in year 2. So he has all the metrics. He got 100 targets. There's a high likelihood that in year 2, he's going to pop off. I love that. Another thing I want to show you guys, this is just kind of for jokes. Check out the motherfucking afro, dude. Rome Odunze locked in for 1,200 receiving yards, 10 touchdowns. I don't think he's going to be 1,210, but I think he could be 1K and 8, man. I think he could be a 1,000-yard, 8-touchdown guy. This is DJ Moore's last season with the Bears, most likely. A lot of people are expecting him to be off the team by next year. His contract's too big. They're going to try to get off it. They got Burden. They got Rome Odunze. They got Loveland. They're probably going to move on from Swift. There's going to be a nice little renaissance. They're probably going to go after a young running back in the next draft. Bolster the O-line even more in the draft. I think this Bears offense is going to be building for the future while trying to be better this season. One more thing I just want to show you guys, man, about Rome Odunze in case people have forgot. 9.62 athletic score. This is the relative athletic score chart. Every single thing was green. Size, height, 40-yard dash, 20-yard split, 10-yard split, vertical jump, broad jump, shuttle. He's an absolutely phenomenal, bigger wide receiver. He's got the size. He has the speed. Great after contact, great after the catch, contested catch, everything. Rome Odunze is going to be the outside wide receiver. I just think if we always compare Ben Johnson to the Lions, we always say who's going to be the Amon-Ra, who's going to be the Jameson Williams. It's not quite going to be that way in my opinion. I just think DJ Moore, his role is going to be diminishing over the course of the season with Rome Odunze, dude, being the lead guy. I have him as like a top 24 wide receiver, man. I have him way above consensus at the moment. I view him kind of in that same tier as like Jameson Williams, T. Higgins. I just think he's going to absorb a lot of those Keenan Allen targets from last season. I think he's going to be the focal point, man. I really do believe that. They're going to have trouble figuring out what to do with DJ Moore. He's still going to get his stuff. He's going to get his screens. He's going to get his like manufactured touches. But Rome Odunze is going to be the core guy. Him and Caleb Williams just have such a good rapport. In my opinion, you guys should be going after Rome Odunze. So now I want to shotgun off a couple more names of trade targets, and we're going to be using this chart. It's essentially the player, how many routes they ran, how many targets they got, and then I have their yards per route run as well here. These two columns on the right are very important. Basically, these two metrics show us when they're out there running routes, how often are they getting targeted, and how many yards do they get per route run. Those are two metrics that we use in fantasy to really predict future success, right? It's like an efficiency metric. It shows us that in a vacuum, how good is this wide receiver? How often are they getting targeted by the offense? So it's better than using like raw numbers, right? If you just use a raw number, like for example, Josh Downs at the top of this list. If I were to use targets as a raw number, just to try to figure out how good Josh Downs was, it's not very indicative, right? He only ran 327 routes. He only had 90 targets. On a percentage basis, that's 27.5. That puts him at 4th in the NFL, man. It's better than St. Brown, better than A.J. Brown, better than Nico, better than Drake London. So when he was running a route, he was getting targeted 27% of the time. And on those, he had 2.2 yards per route run. We love anything over about 2.2. Anything over 2 is good. Anything over 2.2 is like green flag. And then, anything like Puka Nacua, for example, at 3.23, he's just an absolute stud. He breaks every single chart you try to put him in. And the reason I have Josh Downs as the target, again, I have him in a bunch of videos. He's a league winner for me because he's now going to be in this Colts system with Daniel Jones, who has the lowest average depth of target in the NFL, or he's like 30th out of 43 quarterbacks. So he's one of the lower starters. He's not going to be throwing deep. He's going to be throwing short. Josh Downs is going to be the slot guy. He's the better wide receiver on this team. I know Michael Pittman was dealing with injuries, but Josh Downs is just a better per route wide receiver at this stage in their careers. I think his routes are going to go up, which consequently, I think his targets will then go up, and then his production will go up, man. I think Josh Downs is truly someone that can hit that 16 fantasy points per game threshold. He can be potentially a league winner. Then we have A.J. Brown, a similar type of problem as Josh Downs. He's not running enough routes. He doesn't get enough targets because of that, but his per route numbers are fantastic, right? 2.6 yards per route run, and then 26% targets per route run. We love it. Looking down the list, Khalil Shakir also stood out to me where similarly, not a lot of routes, 95 targets, but 2.2 yards per route run and a 24% or 25% or so targets per route run. So when he is running routes, he's getting targeted 25% of the time. So if we see those numbers go up, if we see his volume go up, the production should be there. We just don't know, right? This could be a team that takes a step back. That could be a pass first team. You just never know. That's why I think it's worth taking a shot at him at his value at the moment. And then the last guy on this shotgun list is going to be Quinshon Judkins. Again, across the board, great numbers, 24% targets per route run with a 2.26 yards per route run. So when he's out there running routes, he's getting targeted and he accrues a lot of yards per route that he runs. So we love Quinshon Judkins here. Those are like the trade targets that I think you guys should go out and get. They're just guys that I think are going to really improve. They're in better situations, and in a vacuum, they're very talented wide receivers. And now, as promised, we move on to the trades from the Discord community. We start with B-Mags, dude. Fan of the year, fan of the month. Bro, thank you so much for being here. I've super enjoyed talking ball with you. You got offered Pickens for Ridley. We had a back and forth. There was some disagreement in the Discord about this. So let's break this one down, man. I don't want to bury the lead. I'm going to take the Pickens side. I think I already told you in the Discord, but let's talk about Ridley, man. So last year, wide receiver 27, he was the clear number one guy. He had 120 targets, 1,000 yards, and 4 touchdowns. So Ridley would have been much better if he had more touchdowns, obviously. So that's kind of what let him down. That's why he was only wide receiver 27. In 2025, we're going to look at Vegas numbers. So Vegas has Ridley at 900 yards, 5.5 touchdowns, and 64 or so receptions. So kind of similar to last season, a little bit better in the touchdown department. Remember, he's got Cam Ward, he's got a rookie quarterback, and they're expected to be a pretty bad offense. They're expected, bottom 10 in offensive points scored. Then we have Pickens. Vegas has him at 800 yards, 4.5 touchdowns, and 61 receptions. They're separated by 100 yards and a touchdown. Receptions are pretty much the same. Now, I think Vegas is actually dead wrong on this. I think, now, if you want to go with just simply rankings, Vegas projections, and maybe like YouTube comment section, Ridley might be the pick, right? You might be thinking he's the clear number one. You always take the number one over the number two. I'm not just talking to you here, B-Mags. I want to talk to everyone in this video. Fantasy football is about upside, man. You want to swing for the fences. You want league-winning players. Think about everyone who skipped over T. Higgins last year because he was the wide receiver 2 on his team, right? He ended up being a top 12 wide receiver, man. Because the Bengals had such a bad defense, such a good offense. They were pass first. They were fighting to get into the playoffs. The entire season, they were just like playing desperate, essentially. So if you go by that logic and you just take the safer guy, the alpha wide receiver on a bad team, I think you're shooting yourself in the foot. The Cowboys are projected for the 3rd highest pass attempts, 8th in scoring, and they're going to have one of the worst defenses in the NFL. I think we're going to see shootouts in a lot of games. I think George Pickens is going to be the clear number 2. It's going to be a funnel offense. It's going to be Pickens. It's going to be CeeDee Lamb, maybe a little bit to Ferguson, and then I think Jadon Blue. But I think it's going to be a funnel, man. These 2 wide receivers are just going to get everything. And I just think Ridley, even being like the alpha guy on his team, it's going to be a lower pass attempt team. And I'm going to be honest, man, I don't know how Cam Ward is going to be. I'm big on him. I like him. I watched him in the preseason. He looked good. But I just don't know. It's too risky. While we know what Pickens is, we know what Dak is, we know what this Cowboys offense is going to potentially look like based on how bad their D is, how bad their O-line is. They don't really have a run game or a running back to really lean on. I'm going with Pickens here, man. I honestly think that if you have a team that you're looking for some upside, maybe you have a lot of like floor plays on your team, I think you for sure go with a guy like Pickens. If you have a risky team, if you have guys like Tyreek Hill and some of these other riskier wide receivers, maybe you stick with Ridley. You just stay with the good floor. I just think when it comes to upside, when it comes to ceiling, I do think Pickens has a chance to be a top 12 guy. Next trade comes from Super Bowl head coach in the Discord community. He received this trade essentially right after the draft. Somebody sent him Matthew Golden, David Montgomery, and Brock Bowers for Rashee Rice, Evan Ingram, Ashton Jeanty. So the biggest 2 pieces in this trade are obviously Jeanty and Bowers. Let's talk about this trade, man. So Rashee Rice, I think is going to get us like 8 good games this season. He's going to be suspended. He's going to have a bye week after he returns. Maybe he's going to need 2 games to kind of get situated to really take his role back. So I'm expecting by like week 8, week 10 maybe, he's going to be like fully situated back into the offense. And keep in mind, man, he's going to be now fighting with Xavier Worthy, who's going to have another season to cement himself as the alpha. I think Rashee Rice is not going to be as valuable as we think this season. I think he's going to really return to be that wide receiver 1 next season. And then we have Evan Ingram. He's got some upside in the Sean Payton offense, but Vegas currently has him at 575 yards and 3.5 touchdowns. That is replaceable production, man. That is not like a high-end tight end, somebody that we want to go out and trade for. And then we have Ashton Jeanty, who I think could have like a Bijan Robinson type rookie season, which puts him at like RB9, right? Like I think he could definitely beat that. I think he's going to get a lot more volume than Bijan got in his rookie season. But just to be safe, just to kind of play like worst case scenario, let's just say RB9 finish. And then on the other side, we have Matthew Golden. You guys know I love him, but he's a little too risky. I don't know his role yet. I don't think he's going to have the volume. He's not going to be like a 10 target guy like Malik Neighbors was. And then we have David Montgomery. He's the clear second guy now, I think, guys. I think Gibbs is going to be the 1A, and then Montgomery being the 1B or even the 2A, whatever you want to call it. I expect Gibbs to be the main guy. And then we have Brock Bowers, clear alpha. Vegas has him for 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns. That's like wide receiver type numbers. So looking at this trade, man, I mean, I think we already talked about it in the Discord. I would only consider this trade. I would only make this trade if you can replace David Montgomery. If you can get a different running back than David Montgomery and you're getting Bowers, you're getting like a Chuba, and you're getting like a Golden, then I would consider it. I'm just not very big on Rashee Rice. He seems to be the dead weight in this trade, in my opinion. I know that sounds kind of crazy. A lot of people are really high on him. I just don't think 2025 is going to be his season where he's going to be suspended. He's going to have the bye week. He's going to get resituated. Xavier Worthy's going to have another season to cement himself. That's why I like this trade. I do think Matthew Golden has so much ceiling, so much upside. I'm just so excited to see this guy play, man. I could be fully wrong here, and Rashee Rice could make me eat my words. He could be one of the better players at the end of the season. Now we move to the next trade, again by Super Bowl head coach. Here's how the trade started, man. It was DJ Moore and Kenneth Walker for Josh Jacobs. So he would be receiving Josh Jacobs. And then the trade shifted. So he didn't really quite like that very much. He felt like he was giving away a little bit too much. Then responded with Kenneth Walker and DJ Moore for Josh Jacobs and then Juwan Jennings as a throw-in. So this is where the trade completely changes. Listen, man, I think you still make the trade for Jacobs straight up. It's just you're getting potentially a top 6 running back. And you're giving up, Kenneth Walker, who I love as a talent. I just don't know if he's going to have the backfield to himself. DJ Moore, I've already kind of discussed it. I think he's going to taper off the whole season. When you have now Juwan Jennings included in this trade, we have Kenneth Walker. Josh Jacobs is like RB15 to RB6 or RB7, wherever Jacobs finishes. And then for DJ Moore to Juwan Jennings, I think that's an upgrade. Or at least it's breaking even. As I mentioned, man, the Bears don't really know what they're going to do with DJ Moore. They don't know what his role is going to be. It's a little bit ambiguous. They're probably going to want to move on from him, which means his role is going to potentially diminish as the season goes on. So I think this trade, in my opinion, you're getting a super upgrade at running back with a break even, if not upgrade at wide receiver as well. So I'm taking the trade, man. In both situations, I'm probably taking the trade. That does it for the video. We talked about some trade targets, some values. We looked at some real life trades from the Discord community. If you guys want some advice on your trades, hop into that Discord. It's a growing community. It's really tight knit at the moment. We go back and forth on the trades. There's some disagreement, but it's really cool. You guys should head over and check it out. And stay tuned for the next video, guys. We're going to be talking about waiver wire pickups that you should grab before week 1. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.